joga a bunda pra cima. E 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 joga a bunda pra cima. Joga a bunda pra cima, e 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 joga a bunda pra cima.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Soccers and the Major Arena Soccer League. I'm Craig Elston, joined as always by Tony Sanchez from SanDiego.Futbol. Tony, what's going on?
Well, it's cold up here at the top. Hace frío en la cima, as we say in Mexican Liga MX, whenever you're in first place, because San Diego Soccers have made the climb and are currently in a pretty good spot heading into the last part of the regular season. So I'm pretty happy about that.
They've certainly, yeah, they've got their destiny in their own hands, as one of the old sports cliches would go. They control their fate. And we get a chance to talk about it here on this week's episode. Welcome to everybody. Here's what's going on this episode, Season 8, Episode 15 of Soccer's Overtime. San Diego goes into first place. They beat Tacoma handily at Front Wave Arena. We've got a recap of a dominant Star Wars night, and we'll bring that to you presently. One of the unexpected heroes of that night, a career-best 2 goals and an assist, Jose Bebe Gonzalez. He's been doing all the hard work for this team all season long. He's got a chance to come on Soccer's Overtime this week, tell us about his season and his campaign. In MASL news, it's the craziest race in the history of the league. There's no question about it. It's the most exciting, it's the most dynamic, and the most unpredictable. It just got crazier because Baltimore has blasted off. They've won 5 in a row. They're coming to Front Wave Arena on Sunday afternoon for what is all of a sudden a really important match. And we'll prepare you for that one along with tomorrow night's Soccer's Empire Toyota Arena Showdown, Episode 6 of the season-long series. Can San Diego pull out the season series? They need it with a win tomorrow night. We'll talk about it all with you on this episode of Soccer's Overtime. Great to have all of our San Diego audience here. Great to have all of our MASL audience here. Wherever you found us, we say thank you so much for participating with the program, a labor of love. If you could do the kindness of hitting the like button on YouTube, if you are watching us here on YouTube, hitting that little thumbs up doesn't cost you much, and it'll help us out. click subscribe to make sure you know every time we go live with this show. If you don't remember or mark it on your calendar, it's Wednesdays at 6 o'clock Pacific time until the season is over. That's where we go. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, you can offer us a 5-star rating, a kind review. All those things help for Soccer's Overtime to continue to proliferate to the masses and proselytize the new. Let's bring some more folks indoors for San Diego Soccer's indoor action at Front Wave Arena. Well, Tony, as you said, pretty nice position to be in all of a sudden. Kind of a funny weekend that we'll get to in more detail in MASL news, but it's felt like the last 2 weekends, the results have fallen the way San Diego needed them and wanted them to really clear a path for San Diego. Not an easy one, a steep one, but a path to get to that supporters shield.
Yeah, and one can look inward, right, and say, well, the Sockers also had to do the right work in order to be in that position. And, look at those road trips early on, the now much more important contributions from the rookies that it turns out to be, because now you're in first place and you're in a position now that you have a chance to get some health. You got some chemistry back, and down the road, it's going to be important to have all those elements together if you want to go ahead and have the chance to take this away and come out with a shield on the other side, which is a bigger possibility, than the last time we were talking. We were talking about like, well, if this and this and this, well, this and this and that happened in order for the Sockers to have the path that they have right now.
A thing that happened the day after we did Soccer's Overtime was the MASL trade deadline, in which San Diego acquired Nilton de Andrade for a recent Soccer's Overtime guest, Juan Salazar, who is off to Utica and, in fact, played for Utica and had a goal and an assist for Utica in their overtime loss to Milwaukee that helped draw a point away from the Wave this weekend. But Nilton, and we'll talk about him more in Soccer's News, expected to make his debut tomorrow night at Toyota Arena, training with the team. He's made the trip. He's been cleared and all of that. Could be a really intriguing ad, Tony, for a team that is certainly not without questions in the playmaking midfield category, where Leo's been dealing with injuries all year. Charlie's coming off a major ankle injury. We're hoping that he's back for the playoffs, but you don't know when the guy gets back if he's got that same confidence and burst and feel that he had when he was on fire coming into the start of the season. Gabby Costa, another guy who has been out, and we don't know if he's going to be back for sure. So I think Nilton de Andrade's really got an opportunity to play some minutes here, and if he can succeed, integrate into this Soccer's team.
Yeah, he was coming off of that injury and really reintegrated to Utica very well and immediately made an impact, and that impact actually started up in Empire, so that's going to be really interesting to take a look at. And he's a dynamic player that gets to go ahead and be a creative and has a chance and an opportunity to be a game changer, as they're calling substitutes now in the outdoor game, just somebody who's a catalyst of creativity, something different for the Sockers to not be necessarily so, I don't want to say predictable, because they haven't been. They've quietly been developing this go through Nick Pereira sort of situation, but this gives a little bit of relief. There's somebody else to lay off the ball at the end of the day, and for Nilton, like, this is an opportunity to move forward and an opportunity to be part of a really, really good project that's happening in this season. And he might be more important than we're initially thinking. Depends on how he's going to perform in this system and how easily he's going to be able to pick up what the Sockers have been doing.
Of course, the other big move, and we'll talk about some of the other moves, including moves that were made by the teams that San Diego will be facing as we go forward in the program. But the other big moves happened for the team San Diego was facing on Star Wars night. The Tacoma Stars announcing the signings of Frank and Uzi Tayu, and later the acquisition of Clayson de Lima from the Empire Strikers. Almost said Ontario Fury. I just, when I think of de Lima, I think of the COVID season 21, when they were still the Fury and they played the Sockers in the finals. And he was so good until he went up for a ball and came down and got concussed on a collision with Taylor Bond going for a ball in the minigame. You remember that drama? And then Chewy Molina comes in, and then Cesar Cerda scores the goal with a minute left, and the Sockers win. Crazy times, man. Crazy times. But point being, those guys would roll out onto the pitch for Soccer's and Stars. And let's go ahead and roll into the highlights of this one from Friday night. Star Wars night, Soccer's with their Stormtrooper uniforms on, but it wound up not hurting them until right here. Oh, this felt Stormtrooper-y. Ball goes clang. Yahir Romero jumps on it. Great shot. Not much that Chris Toth, who has to stand his ground there, can do to a upper corner shot like that. 1-0, just 3 minutes into this game, Tony.
Yeah, and I mean, a little flat-footed, but a little bit unlucky there from Drew as he's trying to control it, a routine control, and that just sometimes goes that way. Yeah, you're doing very well and taking advantage of that situation. And you knew that if you were the Sockers, they were going to go ahead and press hard and come out guns a-blazing, and that's exactly what Tacoma did, but then you settle back into the game.
Tacoma, of course, in a fight for their life in the playoff bracket, and they still absolutely have a chance to take it away from Empire at the end of the year. As the action continues, another scissor kick try by Kai Briscoe. This kid's got some dynamic ability for Tacoma. It's exciting to see. This was a mistake that was cleaned up and then missed high. Chris Toth being put into the blender a little bit early, and then late in the first quarter, same two guys going at it. Great shot by Yahir Romero. I mean, he shoots it left-footed. Ruggles is in between. Does he give too much space to allow the shot to come off? Maybe a coach would say it, but he is in that sense. I feel like this is a pretty good shot.
Yeah, no, and the way he cuts inside and immediately cuts right back out with that left foot, like Drew had a lot to think about whether the pass was coming, whether somebody was going to come lay it off, because you see him put his head down and just try to come back and cover that position. So it was a good goal overall.
These two guys are figuring it out. We've seen this exact play before to win a game, and that's Sebastian Mendez on the Pereira back heel coming over the left wing. Nice little overlapping run, and 2-1. And we said it on the broadcast, Tony. It just felt like a really deflating goal for Tacoma after they'd had such a hard-working quarter to be up 2-0.
Yeah, morally, like it felt like it just erased all the momentum that Tacoma had, and even with 41 seconds left, there was still an opportunity for the Sockers to come back and even tie it, right? And so they worked very hard, and you can tell that whatever they had worked on wasn't necessarily going to be sustainable for a whole 4 quarters.
Here we go to one of the plays of the game. The Wallace scorer, initiated by Luis Morales, doing the fancy stepovers first, and then Nick Pereira just right there to head it home. Really pretty goal.
Yeah, and it's good that we had seen in an earlier play that there was a disconnect between Pereira and Morales, and they just kind of both stuck to what they do best and say, well, let me go ahead and, feint and maybe try to go and force myself through the walls like I usually do. But he picks out a shot and an assist, and it gets a good wall score, and Nick just kind of stands there and points at his head like, yep, that's what did it.
2-2, fair play all the way around. Here's where things start to go bad for Tacoma and for Luis Pirueta, who's been really good this year, but did not have a good night on this particular night. This one, it was the roughest of the bunch, Tony, as it goes right between the legs.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that there's an intent to try to control it or try to, get your foot exactly where you need to. It's a slow dribbler, and you're just caught in between, and it's just nightmare fuel for any goalkeeper who has been questioned about the ball handling, the foot handling abilities with Luis Pirueta in the distribution aspect, but it seems like, he's just better from the torso up sometimes.
This is a play we'll talk about with our guest, Jose Bebe Gonzalez, teaming up with Mustafa Guy, a 3v2 classic drill you'd see in the morning, but you rarely see these types of guys getting to actually do a 3v2 in a game, and I thought it was well played all the way around between the two of them.
Yeah, high press. Bebe was there to get the ball, and Amomo was there to get the ball, and Bebe having the wherewithal to just lay it off perfectly, and a really good struck ball with the inside of the foot.
Yeah, and starting with that play off the wall, and also a good play by Sean Callahan there, speaking of unsung heroes, to run the right wing and keep the defense honest and not let them sag in. Chris Toth first start since December 12th. Saw him early on with those 2 goals against, but things start to tighten up. Of course, he winds up 13 for 18 on the night. in saves. And the second quarters were great, but a blue card on Luis Morales. Now, was there a lot of contact there? No. Nonetheless, San Diego's number one penalty kill gets to go out there and shut things down once again. Frank Taillou, great chance. You need him to cash those in when you bring him in to be a new fulcrum. But first game back for Frank, and I think that's one that, 2 weeks from now, he'll probably cash in.
Yeah, you can tell that that there was a definite rust that was coming off from the Taillou brothers. But yes.
Well, there's some more as he just hip checks Drew Ruggles for a blue card. I don't know my own strength, and gives San Diego a power play. And they've just killed the power play on the other side. There's Frank in the box. Here comes the ball in the net. Momentarily, boom, right between the feet of Pirueta for the second time in the quarter. This time, he thinks he's going one way, and Craig knows exactly where he's aiming, and even pointed my eyes, your feet. I knew where I was going. And it's 5-2 San Diego and a power play goal for Craig Giles.
That's exactly where Craig needs to be, right? Like these situations, get yourself a cheeky goal with the experience that you have. You know that Pirueta's struggling with those legs. Just kick it at him and see what happens. And it just goes through the legs and gets himself a goal. That's experience right there.
5-2 San Diego. Man down, San Diego. Marcel Sanchez accepting abuse. Penalty. Well, big trouble on the power play. Here comes the first shorthanded goal allowed. Almost wasn't allowed, but it's pretty tough on a two-man breakaway, shorthanded. This was just overly casual initial passing, Tony, from San Diego. You got to be on your P's and Q's all the way, and just a little pass back like that allowed Kyle Rivers and Adrian Correa to go down the floor.
Yeah, like you said, it almost didn't happen, but it's these situations where if you do face the elite teams that have a little bit more talent, they're going to go ahead and take advantage of more of these opportunities if you do them, because you need to tighten those situations, and a better team will be able to come back and score every time you do a mistake like that.
So now, if Tacoma can kill the power play, they're kind of in business. Spoiler alert, not gonna. Luis Morales right through the hands this time. Pirueta's night was 3 for 12 on saves. Just a tough go all the way around. And now SD just kind of erases that power play goal. Okay, it was a neutral event. What happened? We both scored, back to a 6-3 lead.
Yeah, and from then on, all you have to do for a goalkeeper, and the instruction should be just shoot. It seems to be going on the ground. It seems to be going through his hands. Just shoot, and you'll be successful. And it's rough to get that confidence back from a goalkeeper that's been through it like this.
Could have been. Good try on that one. Now here's after Uzi Taillou, not pictured earlier in the highlights, chirping at Nick Pereira the entire night. This time, Nick uses the sidewall to his benefit to get down the floor, beat Pirueta, make it 7-3, and just kind of had a look at Uzi. He didn't have to say much on this one, but well done by Cardenas to find him, and then got past him, got it through.
I'm seeing a lot more shooting from Nick Pereira as of recently in the last couple of games. I don't know if he's feeling himself, but he always looks for that pass first, and he lays it off and does a smart play. But I think teams have been catching up to that, so they're giving him a little bit more space to shoot, and he's just taking those opportunities.
Oh, what could have been? Great Giles for the lollipop header for a brace. Gets back out, back to Childs. Handball. Can't call it. No challenge left. Challenge was meaninglessly wasted in this game. There's another one. Sorry, can't do anything about it. Craig's having a laugh. If there was the one thing that the Sockers could take away as a critique from the game, it was wasting their challenge flag in the first quarter. But here's Frank Taillou. Frank's here. First game back. He's got a goal. Frank Taillou is still going to be able to score goals in this league. And if he's fit and locked in, he can still be a force in this league. I'm sure of that.
I mean, and what I liked about facing Frank Ty is you face somebody with physicality, but is also able to use that finesse and just score beautiful goals like this. And that's something that is going to be faced just on the back end too. You have two very physical, a physical attacker and defender. You get to go ahead and not just pass it around. You're going to go ahead and be questioned, and then some questions will be asked of you. This beautiful goal too, golazo.
It is. Michael Ramos scores. That's 2 goals in 12 seconds for Tacoma to go from 7-3 to 7-5, just like that. And just kind of a tough highlight reel for Drew in terms of being the on-ball defender for 3 goals there now. But this, Giles to Pereira. This is what they were dreaming of in the summer when the move was made. It hasn't been a connection because of injuries and whatnot as much as it could be, but now it's starting to happen.
I mean, it's magical, right? Like, just pick your spot, put it exactly where I need you to, and half volley, boom, de primera, first time, first chance. Like, it's as beautiful as it gets.
When you watch that pass, it's a strong pass. It's low, and it has only one low hop. Boop, pop. That's so skillful, right? Because anything higher is going to be blocked.
Yes.
Or intercepted. A line drive is just going to ricochet around his shins and there's no shot. But that was like the perfectly weighted chip shot from off the green. One hop, bam.
Just a pass, because it puts the defender in a weird situation because it's at hand length and it's at arm length. So the only way you can get to it is if you put your body there, and it's going to connect in the hand in a very, bad position, and, just kind of confuses everybody. Man, it's so well done.
It is. It's really a pretty goal. It got us both excited. Up in the booth, kind of restored a little bit of order at 8-5. Then Tacoma goes to 6 attackers. Pretty soon, things go from bad to worse. Here's another big scrambling steal for San Diego before Birota comes out. And it's Mendez and it's Pacheco finishing it up. Nice little grindy goal for 9-5 and for his 60th career goal, which was his 100th career point.
No, I mean, this, again, we've been talking about Pacheco's development, and it's coming, and he's coming in nicely, and he's having these moments. So I think he's going to be somebody whose clutch factor is going to rise, especially coming down to the end of the season. And he's somebody who's going to step up potentially in the absence of, maybe a Chatterley or somebody who's out there being dynamic as well. But another great young talent that the Sockers have for the future.
Here's the 6 attackers. Nice little pinball save by Toth to deny Tayu a brace. Jamel Cox from outside, knocked down by and here's Bebe. This literally at this moment in the broadcast just before we were talking about Leo not being there, and it'll be something that's missed for the Sockers. And then Bebe's like, "Nope, you got me. I got you, babe." What a shot from Jose Gonzalez here.
Yeah, no, the wherewithal to make sure that he opens himself up because he senses the defender on the back end on his right side, and just opens himself up and gives himself a good chance. And there it is. Like, I was so proud of him to be able to have the game that he did and just have just a cherry on top with that goal.
I mean, look at this. How many times do you have a goal like that you can literally just walk into the net and score it? Well done by Sebastian Mendez to win that ball away and not to get greedy and to see his friend out in front of him. The steal was along the wall, and then right there with Jamel Cox waiting to steal it. That's where Bebe is. And that's all of a sudden 2 goals and an assist in one game for Jose Gonzalez. And his previous career high for points in a season was 4. And that was no goals, 4 assists. So at 2-3-5, he now has his career high point season, which is pretty cool.
And I mean, he's worked hard in other games too, but like, this is one where he was rewarded for that hard work. And, it's good to see the players who have been here, who have been, at very different systems, very different teams. And this is the best game that I've seen him as a soccer, obviously with the score sheet, but it's just good to have that confidence building inside of a player where, hey, we were talking about it, right? Who's going to fill these shoes? And in that moment, you needed somebody to go ahead and do that. Even if it is an 11-5 situation, a 10-5 situation, you need the Sockers to be able to to take those opportunities and strike when presented, because this is what sharpens your skills for the end of the season and into playoffs.
6-0-1 in their last 7, the San Diego Sockers. That one loss, the overtime loss to Empire when you scored very late that was the Leo Long goal to tie it. Pardon me. Scoring late was Tacoma. We've had some crazy games at Front Wave Arena. I don't really think, San Diego's had a couple overwhelming wins. I don't know that they've even still put their best foot forward at Front Wave Arena in terms of a complete performance all year long. But there's still opportunity, including this Sunday afternoon against the Baltimore Blast, in a game that can really matter. And I think tomorrow night's game really matters too, because it's such a convoluted league. First and fifth are separated by 3 points. If you ever lose grip of the reins at this point, you could easily see yourself into third place. And if Empire's sitting there in sixth place and they've finished the year beating you 3 times in a row and 4-2 on the season series, they're going to feel pretty good about their chances to take one at Toyota Arena and then a chance to win at Front Wave Arena as well. They feel very comfortable winning at Front Wave Arena. If they got to a mini game, it's kind of like golden goal overtime. They've already done it twice at Front Wave Arena. So, I think these are both really, really big games for the San Diego Sockers, Tony.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about focusing on yourself and making sure that you take care of what you need to take care of to finish in your own position in first place, if that's going to be possible, and win out the whole time. But I think objective 1B is also, don't be the reason somebody else turns their season around. And that's something I've always felt, that never be the reason why you give your opponent a chance to make playoffs, even if you're in first place. If you're the reason that somebody made playoffs, then they probably did something better than you in that moment and got a point or something. And so that's something not to give. And if there's somebody who's most comfortable playing the Sockers, it's Empire. And it can be just because of geographically the amount of games that we played, the amount of times that we've seen them. But this is the team that will no fear look at you in the eye and say, yeah, we have a chance. We have a chance to take on the Sockers, even at home, like you said.
It's an interesting note as we turn to our guest. It's a 5-game series so far, and Ontario is 3-2, and San Diego is 2-1-2. And as a result of that, Empire so far has 7 points out of the series, and San Diego has 8 points out of the series. So the Sockers have actually outpointed Empire in the series so far, even though Empire has 3 wins and San Diego has 2 wins. Thus is the nature of the 3-2-1-0 point system, which I really do enjoy and I think is a great part of the Major Arena Soccer League. Let's welcome in tonight's special guest. It's the bottom of the hour. It's interview time on Soccer's Overtime. And it's been really a lot of fun, I think, this season, Tony, as we've gotten a chance to talk to the rookies of this team, some of the newer players who have come to San Diego. And here's a friend who was here and then away and now back, the man who has been often referred to as the brother of Charlie Gonzalez, but now we're saying that Charlie is the brother of Jose Gonzalez. What have you done for me lately? Bebe, you've scored me a couple of goals. Here's Jose Gonzalez joining us on Soccer's Overtime. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is ours. Thank you for joining not just the two of us, but all of our Sockers fans watching here on YouTube. It's not unusual to see in the lineup. You've been in there a lot this year, but to see you in a midfield shift where you actually have a chance to maybe get those legs moving forward as well as running backwards, which we know you do great. How much fun was that to have a chance to do a little damage?
It was pretty fun. I got to admit, I was not expecting it to be on the midfield line. But yeah, I mean, during practice, during the week, they moved me around a little bit. and I know they do it so that they could see me, open up a little bit, be a little bit more freely, try different things. But it was fun. I felt comfortable. Obviously, it's my first game playing midfield this season, but I mean, it's indoor, so every possession is pretty similar. So it was great.
I mean, talking about comfortable, right? Tell us about that long range goal. Ese golazo desde quién sabe dónde. Have you been taking lessons from Leo? I mean, he did that up in Empire. What's that been like?
A little bit, a little bit. There was actually a game. I believe it was against Empire the last time we played them at home. I there was a similar play. I got the ball. I tried shooting it, but it didn't go my way. I could have just played a simple ball to my brother. We talked about it after, me and my brother Leo, and that play should have been a pass. But now this one, as soon as I got the ball back, I saw the opening and I had to take it. And I think as long as I don't overthink it or a player doesn't overthink it, it goes your way. Miss or make it, it's always gonna turn out to be positive.
You've really been a big contributor to this team all year. And I know when I talked to you, when I booked you for the show, is that, we get really excited in the booth when there's somebody who is a hard worker, because every team, it can't be all forwards. Every team can't all be number 9 and number 10. The winning teams have players, especially in indoor, who are willing to burst out that back door as the quote unquote star is heading into the front door of the team. And that's how you keep the score down. And that's how you win games. And that's how you win championships. How gratifying has it been for you to have that role that you've been able to embrace, to be an integrated part of this club this year?
You know what? I was actually, when I was the first day, the first 2 days that I showed up to practice with soccer's, I was told right off the bat, kind of what they're trying to do or have me do for the team, and I've always been a team player. Everywhere I go, I look after after the team, and I'm always trying to help out in any way. Obviously, at times, you got to sacrifice certain things for the team, and I've always been that player. I want to help out. I want to win a championship game, and more than anything, playing for the soccer's. Not everyone gets that opportunity, and I'm lucky enough to have that opportunity, and I'm happy to be here. So whatever it takes, it's my first year in soccer, so you know I'll take it. So I'm happy for it. I work hard. Um, I just hope we keep doing our job as a team.
And I mean, obviously, you've been asked to do a lot, and you've asked to defend. You've asked to, come back and be a runner. Is that something that you feel comfortable in as you're growing into that position? Do you see a future maybe developing more into that role?
Yeah, yeah, of course, and I think it helps out that I've been in the league long enough, to I'm usually behind the targets, so I'm usually trying to help out the targets, how to cover angles, talk to them from the back, but now I'm the one doing it, so I think that helps out a lot. The fact that I was on the back for pretty much all the years that I played on the MASL. So yeah, I'm pretty positive I could gain more experience at that role, and keep working to be a better player, especially at that role.
Bebe, it's Empire and San Diego tomorrow up at Toyota Arena. Match 6 of the series. This
Hmm.
thing has been tight. There's been overtime games. Almost every single game has been one goal in the fourth quarter. Even the 9-5 game was 5-5 in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter. And then it got away on sixth attacker. But what do you think has given Empire the ability to really run with you guys this year? And what can be done to change that on Thursday night?
Well, I think first off, Empire, they're a good team. They have good players, quality players, young players. It's very clear. I mean, I was there last season, so it's very clear what they're trying to do. And they stick to their system, and we got to give it to them. But I feel like the experience that the soccer staff and what we have of players. I know it's not an excuse. I know we've been missing the full team. So for some reason, there's always someone hurt or whatever. But even with the players that go on the field, we still have we still have the chance to take over the game. But I just feel like, the last games we have been coming together, doing things better as a team, whoever's inside the field. So as long as we stick to, figuring out the small details and just making sure we take care of it, I think we should be good. Everything should be good.
And I meant you mentioned how you've been through this league and you're kind of understanding. What has it been like for you this season? What are your thoughts on the league being so tight? 5 teams, all within 3 points of each other, up on the top. It's a very exciting situation. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, it's nerve breaking. It's you think about all these teams up top, and you see, for example, Ambush. Being on the top, us, Milwaukee. It's just everyone's super tight. It's just we're everyone. I'm sure not only us, but all the teams are constantly checking. The standings, checking, watching the games. I try and watch every single game that I can. If I can't, I watch highlights to make sure who's doing what, and for the same reason, everyone's up there. Everyone wants to be in the top. I mean, only 6 teams move on, and obviously we're looking to be the top two. That way we get that advantage. But it's an interesting season. But yeah, we're looking to be those top two teams. That we're looking to be in the top two.
And within that, we're looking for number one, baby. We're looking for
Exactly.
number one.
We are.
Um, tell us what it's been like for you professionally with your relationship with your brother. That I mean, you guys grow up together, you play football together, then you play professional football together. You've done it in Ontario, you've done it in San Diego. What is that like to have both a sibling and a professional working relationship?
Um, it's great. It's great, man. We grew up together. It's 5 siblings, well, 6, but 5 boys, and all 5 boys we grew up playing soccer. Um, so we've been very competitive as since we were young, and for the most part we've always played together since we were little kids. We played together in high school, played together, and in college, Cal State. When we signed, he signed a few months before I did with Ontario Fury. So we've been teammates until not until the last 2-3 seasons of my career. That's when we're the first time we were rivals. But I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy to be back. Playing right next to him. We get along. We understand each other really well. But yeah, man, it's something that I'm sure some. I mean, there's other brothers in the league that they could tell you the same thing. It feels it's a good thing, and I try to enjoy it as much as possible, and I'm sure he does too, and just keep fighting for one another the way we defend the soccer's.
And I mean, with the brothers Charlie, Jose, Bebe, Gonzalez, o sea, what about that person? Not necessarily ignoring el hermano, but what is Jose Gonzalez like maybe off the field, or what are some things that you enjoy away from the game?
I mean, some of the things, um I like to be active. That's one thing. I'm always in the gym. I'm always trying to do the right things. That way I'm able to perform in the field. But, I like music. I like music a lot, actually. Other than that, I think, I'm a busy person. I'm always up and down with my TC Brothers Academy. I know he's part of it too, so I think that's pretty much it. Soccer, work, gym, and just looking for the new challenge in my outside life. What's to come.
Absolutely. Keeping it simple right now. Why not? Things are going
Yeah.
right. Things are going well. And I know we're all looking forward to seeing Charlie get back healthy and all took a big sigh of relief after the results came back from that injury. You had to have been
Well,
scared watching that.
yeah, it was. It was pretty scary. Obviously, even if it was any other teammate, you don't want anyone. Even if it was an opponent, you don't want anyone to go through that, especially inside the field. And it hits different when it's like your brother. Obviously, Um, but luckily, how you said, it was he didn't break anything. He does have a tear in one of his ligaments, but doctor did clear him doctor did say he should be back in a month. So hoping he's back strong and ready to go.
And all the way through, this club is going to have the support and the help of Jose Bebe Gonzalez, who
Thank you.
currently holds the season family record for longest goal. So, when Charlie comes back, he's got some work to do, Jose.
Yeah.
Did he tell you
He does.
anything about the performance?
now,
There you go.
I could say I have something over him when it comes to goals.
Did he tell you anything about your performance?
No, I mean,
no?
we always talk about it. No matter what the score is, no matter if he plays, if we both play, we always pay attention. We always try and keep in mind every single play that we go through. I mean, he watches after me, I watch after him, and we're always talking about our plays, what we could have done better, what just we're always talking about the games. Even in practices, we always talk about our performance. Hey, you saw this. You could have done this. I could have done that, but. Yeah, he was happy for me, obviously, and halftime he actually told me, hey, if you have a shot, you got to take it. You got to go forward. So he got on me a little bit in halftime. So he did came back after the game and told me that. I was like,
That's
hey, I told you.
Incredible stuff, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate your time. And best of luck over the course of the weekend to the Sockers.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It means a lot, and we got to get this.
You bet. We'll see you around at the arena. Take care.
Got it. Thank you.
You bet. There goes Jose Bebe Gonzalez. That was a lot of fun.
What a kid. That's again like the youth and that's on this team. They have their head on screwed on straight, and I love that comment that he made, right? And kind of what Eddie's saying here, like it's a privilege to wear the San Diego Sockers uniform, and that's something that he said. And at the end of the day, he's there for the right reasons, and he wants to get better. I do also like my soccer players that I follow to be all about soccer and not have anything else on the sides too. Like, yeah, like he's focused, laser focused, everything is in there. But no, just I'm very happy for the kid too.
Yeah, great stuff all the way around. All right, let's move ahead to MASL news and talk about the weekend that was. And within it, as mentioned, you had 4 individual results, and they all went just about as well as you could have hoped for the San Diego Sockers. I guess you could have hoped for Utica not to blow a 5-1 lead in the fourth quarter, but can't ask for everything. San Diego gets all 3 points, and then St. Louis, this team that we talked about last week, which had an 11-match point streak coming in, holds the lead twice in 2 nights against Baltimore, sees Baltimore put up a 2-0 fourth quarter, both games, and take identical results, 5-4. I watched, of course, we were on the air or at work for the Friday match, so I didn't get to see much of that one, but I did watch the Sunday match, and it was a good, back and forth battle. And Baltimore made some really strong plays at the end. And Navarrete played well in net. They handled the big field better than I've seen Baltimore handle it. And it seems like the veteran Blast are putting things together. They've won 5 in a row. They're up to 30 points. And the way that this crazy table is going, you can't rule them out, because what happens? Yeah, they've got a match extra played over San Diego. I mean, San Diego's got the advantage. We'll talk about it more momentarily, but regulation win gets them to 33. So, it's truly fascinating to look. And then if you even look at the subgrouping beyond that, Tony, look at the goal differentials. 14, 12, 10, 11. San Diego at 23, now starting to show a little bit of a positive outlier. But everybody's in a pack. Empire right behind at 6. Not very... And then, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little steep there.
The metrics tell you clearly who should win. Like, Joseph Reyna should have it all sorted out by now, right? But it doesn't mean Tacoma couldn't, because they've got a match on the 12th against Empire. And if San Diego takes care of Empire here, Empire's got some tough road games coming up. They go to St. Louis. That's a place they've already lost this season. And all of a sudden, Tacoma can have that path. If it stays this close, they still do have a path. Then you get to the Utica match. And this is really an interesting one. I hadn't realized it. And our mutual friend Randy let me know because I hadn't seen his Instagram that Kelvin wasn't back for Utica. Kelvin was back one night only.
Okay.
That Kelvin Oliveira felt that he owed it to the Utica fans to give him one more game. And even though Kings League is paying him more to be a star and he's, doing his thing. So he came back for one home game for Utica City FC. And it just so happens it comes the weekend after the trade deadline when Utica unloads everybody. They sent someone to St. Louis. They sent Belliard, I believe, to Baltimore. Oh, they sent Murshad Ahmadi. Oh my
Yes.
God. Thank you.
Hey, you got it.
Sorry, Murshad Ahmadi. And of course, Nilton to us. And then in comes Kelvin to Utica, one night only. And he scores 4 goals. And then the team collapses against Milwaukee's 6 attacker in the 4th quarter. Yeah, great job, man.
If you look at Utica's Instagram, it's all Kelvin. It's all Kelvin.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is. Well, that's it.
One night. That's I don't know. Like if Led Zeppelin comes back together for one night only, do you still go see him if it's just Robert Plant though? If it's Jimmy Page, but like, do you but that's very interesting. It's just
yeah. Well, they got a good crowd and they almost beat Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But the Wave do get the win. They get 2 points. That's huge for the Wave. Big comeback against 6th attacker. They stayed 6 attackers after they had tied the game and in overtime. And I think a fascinating thing with Marcio Leite is that it appears he is starting to commit to a uber Obasi system, like a super Obasi, where it's not possession based. It is, we're going to attack. We're going to bring the goalkeeper down into the corner. Like the goalkeeper's going to shoot. We're going to absolutely run a 6v5 on you. And there's not going to be any free safety. There's not going to be any pressure release valve. We're just going to count on the ability to be faster than you, to execute, to move the ball faster, to keep it. And if we do lose possession, that our guys on the outer wings are going to force you to an outside shot. You're going to take a long shot on goal. You're going to miss a lot. You're going to just miss a lot. Every once in a while, you're going to put it in, but you're going to miss a lot. When they were doing it against St. Louis the week prior, when Gerardo Perez was not hurt, he scored 2 goals. They were up 6-4, and they gave up an empty net goal. They gave up long shots, but he just started it first minute. They won the ball, and whoop, Perez all the way down the floor without the ball at his feet into the corner. And I'm just like, holy cow, this kamikaze strategy seems to be something that Milwaukee is adopting. And I'm not, and maybe a Milwaukee fan, maybe Kelsey's in the chat, I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me why, but I thought they looked like a really complete team when we saw them, especially the second time, beating us 10-5, and they were playing conventionally. And Bonahene, at times, and I've seen from the highlights and from the game, when he comes, like when he's loose and ready to go, he's looked really good most of the time. He doesn't have a 700 plus save percentage, but he's made a lot of good and athletic saves. But it just seems like Milwaukee is like, this is the way that we can be different and win. and they may commit to it for the rest of the year. It's pretty wild.
I mean, if it's kind of working and they're going into it, and does that mean that they can just on a dime switch it back? And I think that's where it does become dangerous. If they can go ahead and pick their spots and do it in a interesting way within the game and do that balancing act, it can be very dangerous because, like you said, it's a Uber bossy.
Uber Obasi.
Uber Obasi.
Over Obasi. Like over Obasi. Yeah. Obasi. More bossy.
More bossy. But yeah, I mean, and that can be a dangerous layer added to a team. But if what I've been seeing recently in the dip in form from Milwaukee, it has anything to show for it, then there's still areas of growth that you should have done in the beginning of the year. It's like somebody just showed them, like, hey, so this other team is doing this halfway through the season. They're like, okay, we can try it, and then just kind of been trying it, and they're getting results against Utica 6-5 in overtime, I guess. But that's a team that I think had they played like they played the Sockers, it would have been an easy win.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see the evolution of Milwaukee over the course of the season, but if they're just playing off of Gerardo Perez, Jerry, they're calling it Jerry ball, and just saying, well, this guy just has this dynamic ability to attack, and so we're create a new, more fun, more exciting, more effective. Let's just put the cards on the table, more effective style of play, then so be it. It could be very scary to get into a series with them and have a big lead in game one, and then all of a sudden, Jerry ball. Now, you've got Leo, you've got Charlie if he's back, like you got Bebe, you got these long shot artists, Sebastian, Sebastian, another guy who wants to bend it in. So I do think there's always a counter. You've got to be kind of step perfect to execute that without ever having a turnover. But really interesting, and right now to me, you've got San Diego with a clear path of advantage. And this needs to be their week to consolidate it. It's almost like in tennis when you're up a break. That's what San Diego is right now, because they're sitting, tied at the top of the table, but they're sitting at 17 in terms of games played, and everyone else is 18 except for the teams that are 19 right now. So you really have that match in hand advantage, but that only means something if you consolidate your matches in hand and turn them into 3 points each. St. Louis, we're tied, but if San Diego over the next 2 weekends takes care of the second game of the 2 games in the week, and St. Louis has 1 game, all of a sudden that's a 6-point lead, even if St. Louis wins each of their games. Likewise with Milwaukee, you can build out to a 7-point lead over Milwaukee and do so with so few games left, like at that point 3 games left, that you've all but sewn up the shield. Of course, Kansas City is the team that all of a sudden you've started to even up with, right? At some points, they were 4 games ahead of you in terms of games played in the schedule. Now that's down to 1. That'll be down to 0 coming into the final set of games where they're going to play Kansas City 4 times. So obviously the Comets have a clear path to first place, which is beat up on San Diego, right? Baltimore, we've beaten them twice. The Blast, they just showed up here. So, well done to keep the run. But can you keep the run and then keep the run going even further? This weekend will say a lot about that. If Baltimore can come here and win, you got to take them a lot more seriously as a veteran team, as a late contender for everything this year. I haven't thought of them as such. I've thought of them as kind of bottom of the league. But now you look ahead to what's going on, and you look at the San Diego schedule there, right? And this is the last easy. Well, that's not the last, but this ends that stretch of time that San Diego has not had to have travel back-to-back difficulty, right? You played one game on the 21st, one game on the 27th. Now it's 2 games, but it's a Thursday in Empire. It's a quick drive. Everyone's in their own bed that night. And it's not playing on Saturday. It's playing on Sunday at 3:00. So it's a chance to have that extra day rest and to basically be, close to fully recovered for Baltimore. Then you have the Kansas City, San Diego back-to-back. Brutality, but for both teams. So even brutality. There's the last solo weekend hosting St. Louis. Huge game. And then you've got another Kansas City, San Diego home and away, but this time there's one day in between. So this time they get to play, fly, play instead of play, fly, play. Absolutely brutal.
No, I mean, might as well have a game going in the airplane, book them together. First MASL game played in midair. That's the point.
So that's the setup for San Diego. And, you can go around the league. You can look at each team's situation, but Milwaukee finishes with 5 games in a row at home. And they've got Utica, I believe, 3 times. Or maybe this was the first of the 3 times that they just played them this past weekend. But I know they've got them twice during this homestand. So Milwaukee, as I've always said, if they could get out in front, they were going to be impossible to catch because they've got this very, very favorable schedule going down the stretch. No one's got a more favorable schedule than Milwaukee. Yeah, there it is. There's their last 5. Tacoma, Empire, Utica, Baltimore, Utica. They have a chance to get 15 points. If any of those teams come in and steal a game, and of course, Baltimore and Milwaukee are old-time rivals. And in the MISL, it was those 2 teams. In MISL 2, it was just those 2 teams like back and forth for so long for championships. So never rule anything out because there's enough players even today who have been there since those MISL days who know what's going on and continue to give it to each other. But still, that's a very favorable schedule for Milwaukee. That's why I think this week is so important, Tony, for San Diego. You've got to build out those leads. If you take care of business this weekend, Empire can't say they beat you in the season series. You take care of Baltimore and sweep them, kind of knock them down a peg where they can fight with Empire at the bottom of the bracket. And you build out these advantages now where you can get to the point that you can drop a game against Kansas City over the course of those 4 games and still win first place overall. And I do think it is possible. But if you falter and you ever give Milwaukee a chance to take the lead and be able to run to the tape with it, they have a chance to take it to the tape.
And, just overall what that means, right? Last year, you took one game, and the one game was the first game in Tacoma to put that balance of not hosting the final and not hosting the championship series. This is kind of where we're coming to once again. If you're first place, Front Wave Arena is more than likely where the championship will be played if everything goes San Diego's way. And I can't overstate how much, not just a franchise, but the fan base that's kind of accumulated now at Front Wave Arena. That's, the supporter groups that are coming out, the groups that are coming in, like everybody who's bought into this San Diego Sockers after not having a championship won in Front Wave Arena. They also deserve this. They also deserve this run. So it starts with now. Now is where you start showing that pedigree. Like, these are the Sockers. The ghosts of the Sockers in Pechanga and at Sports Arena, like, yes, that's fantastic. A lot of the players still come on down and support and enjoy, but it's this generation's turn to go ahead and step up and really go ahead and show why it matters, like Bebe was saying, to wear the crest of the San Diego Sockers.
Yeah, and when they say finish top 2, they're truly, last year should have taught you something, which is it's finished top one. And anything less than that, and you leave yourself open to a really tough road on that final step to get there. And if you think about the modern Soccers who have won 6 championships, only 2 of those came with a win away. The first of those was the 2010-11 season, the second season. Yeah, 2009-10, 2010-11. That was the year that Nick Pereira and Chris Toth were rookies on the Soccers, and the PASL used a Final Four hosted format, and the Final Four was hosted in Cincinnati, where the star was one Jeff Hughes and one Mary Beth, at that time Monahan, was serving as the team's director. And in charge of everything going on in the arena, at the old Cincinnati Arena where Oscar Robertson used to play for the University of Cincinnati. So that was the first ever road win for the Soccers in a championship situation, but it wasn't an away win. The only away win they've ever had was against Empire when they were Ontario in the COVID series, because that was neutral site held at Toyota Arena, and then the Fury were in the game. And those were the only games that fans were allowed in. And there were some Soccers fans there, to be sure, but there were also some Empire fans who were Ontario fans, because Ontario is the city they play in, as opposed to Empire, not a real place. That was a quite remarkable victory, right? Came down to a mini game, came down to a last minute, came down to, as we just talked about, an injury situation that changed the series. Needed some dice to fall your way for San Diego to pull that out. So, last year the Soccers could have won the championship, and they didn't take care of a week like this, and it turned into a problem. This is the toughest league they've seen, but these are 2 games they can win, but it doesn't mean they will win them. Let's take a look ahead to tomorrow night. And we should see, as we mentioned earlier, the debut of Nilton De Andrade for the Soccers and the Strikers. Empire has made a couple of pickups of their own along the way, and they've added a little more firepower to their attack. We talked about Barbaro Chalier, but he did show up the game after we profiled him on our broadcast, and has had 3 assists in 3 games. I wrote it in, I don't want to say it wrong. Shvidchenko, I believe, is the other younger player, rookie, but he scored a couple of goals in 2 games for Empire. Zakhar Shidchenko. Someone to watch, right? And after hearing the last time through trouble with Clayson DeLima and seeing him replaced in the middle of a power play, seemingly randomly, that was it for Clayson DeLima. We saw his last minute with the Fury Strikers because he was traded to Tacoma, something part of the push for them to get Clayson DeLima, because they remember. They know how good he was, in the COVID season with Ontario. So we'll see how that works out. But from the Empire side, Tony, it clears the net for Orozco with Gomez, as opposed to what Obasi has been doing, which is evaluate all 3 and announce the 2 that were playing after warm-ups.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't. Can't believe that's allowed. But no, it gives a clear picture of what the intentions are for Obasi moving forward. A build of confidence for Orozco, and where it seemed like there was a chance where Orozco was now going to be the number 2, and you also saw, much like Milwaukee, starting to go into that Obasi system. You saw a retraction from Obasi ball from Empire, a little bit. Stinson's kind of getting, in there a little bit more, but it just seems like they haven't decided what to commit to other than, hey, goalkeeper here, we're going to move forward. But are they going to ask Orozco to stop moving up so much? Are they going to keep doing that all day? Because they did find success when they played a more traditional style at times in the season as well. So this is why Empire is so tricky. It's a giant question mark. And sometimes the unpredictable is harder to defend and play against because you just don't know what you're going to go ahead and have to prep for. And sure, that may be part of the strategy that Empire has been implementing, but consistency is what usually trumps in these situations, especially at this point in the year.
I think it's going to be a heck of a game. They've all been close games. It's a big field in Ontario. The Sockers have struggled at times with Empire speed, and they are getting, from what I hear, Serta back. They're getting Pee Wee back to put a veteran at defensive runner. We'll see if that's a better fit. Marcel's got young legs. He can run, we'll see. But obviously Pee Wee's IQ of the game is, close to unparalleled. So you like to have those forces redeployed for you. But, from what I'm hearing, no Charlie, no Leo. Obviously Gabby's in Brazil. You do have Nilton de Andrade. So could be interesting because you're integrating a new player. Does he play tentatively his first game? And is that something that Empire can take advantage of? Or does the week of practice that he's had give him the confidence to step into a line and do a good job and come forward, and be creative for the team? It'll be something to watch, but I think we have seen in the two games when Leo has not been there without Charlie and Gabby that all of a sudden San Diego's offense at times has been lumpier than we had seen it over the course of the year. A little bit more difficult to create those connections, a little more 1v1 ball, a little more really needing Nick to be that post-passing presence for things to work at all. So it'll be really curious. I'll be truly curious to see, because obviously Empire is a team that is a tough team to break down defensively because of the way Obasi's system works. But they are also a team that really struggles to score offensively. I still can't believe that they haven't played like a second of 5v4 on any of their power plays this year. They're two-man advantage the entire time, and they have easily the worst power play in the league by percentage. I'm not saying my personal objective opinion of it. They are ranked 8th with a bullet in power play percentage this year. So just one of those things to keep an eye on is that San Diego does have that slight advantage in that, 24, they might have gone up. They must have scored a power play goal their last time out. I'm not kidding. They must have scored a goal the last time out that I didn't see on the power play, because they were down at like 16%. Yeah, with only 6v4. You would think that you would lead the league in shorthanded goals allowed and power play percentage. Like be at 50. But you've given up 3 or 4 shorthanded goals because people have caught one and tossed an empty net on you. But that's not been the way it's gone. So anyways, really big game for Empire. Obviously, they're all big for Empire. Empire's hanging on. I know Tavoy will not be back tomorrow. Tavoy can be back Sunday. Tomorrow is the last game of Tavoy's suspension, which puts Craig into a forward spot as opposed to being in that midfield power play spot. There's a little bit of a cascade to that might push someone like a Pacheco into the back, right? But I'm glad you mentioned him earlier. I think he's a big player for a game like tomorrow. And I think him and Mendez are two guys I think are really important against Empire if you're going to win. And I think he's a player who's been like sneakily quite good for San Diego this year.
Yeah, he's been consistent, maybe not necessarily on the stat sheet, but he's been consistent wherever he's asked to play. He steps up and, he's incredibly versatile and he's incredibly smart with the way that he plays. And we mentioned it when he barely came on this year. Like he has that youth, but he's also a veteran of the league. He also knows what to do. He was making it happen in Baltimore all alone. So he's going to be a focal point for, hopefully the Sockers moving forward. And when you're talking about again that kind of missing piece that hopefully Nilton will go ahead and fill in, you see a lot of build-up play that starts in the defense and it just goes directly to the offense. That's how you can tell that midfield piece has been missing a little bit because Cardenas to Nick or Ruggles moves up and there's a lot more defense offense connection, but it's that middle piece that if that happens, it slows things down even more for the Sockers. But it makes the offense have to think a little bit more because there are more options and they're being so patient in the midfield too.
Then you look to the rest of the schedule and Baltimore actually hosts Utica on Friday night. So they're going to host Utica, fly cross country Saturday and play the Sockers in a 3 p.m. game on Sunday. That won't matter to them because that'll feel like 6 o'clock their time, which is when they would play anyway. So that part actually probably works to Baltimore's favor just a little bit. But nonetheless, that's a tough go for Baltimore. If I talk about it for us, I'll talk about it for them. That's a difficult situation. They're going to play 2 games like us, but it'll be with 1 fewer days rest and a cross-country flight East Coast to West Coast. So really tough body adjustment to do. That could be a very tough weather adjustment, the way that the East Coast has been socked in for the longest time. So I think that plays to San Diego's advantage if they can pocket Thursday's match. Kansas City goes to Tacoma to play 1 game this week, and that'll be on Friday as well. And hey, Tacoma, circle the wagon, 7-3 at home, but they've only played 1 and 2 goal games at home all year long. So Kansas City, a team that's just a couple games over 500. That's the one thing is that they've had that kind of, they're in first for the longest time, but they weren't really. They just had played more games than everybody. They've been a below 500 team for a decent stretch of the season now. And them going to Tacoma, going cross country, they need to win that game, just like Tacoma needs to win that game. So that could be another really interesting match this weekend in the MASL.
It's just so exciting, and that's the thing that we were like looking at with the schedule build. And yes, maybe the back-to-back travel, but this league has certainly turned up the competition aspect, and it's more important. Where again, at this point of the year, I could remember just like, well, you have these games that are just a formality at this point, like why even go ahead and do it? But no, everybody has a reason to go up, and even Utica as a spoiler, like they have something to go ahead and play for. You have Juancho out there who gave the Sockers a point essentially, and really took points away from Milwaukee. So these games still matter down the line, and if Secret Agent Juancho is going to go ahead and be somebody who keeps doing that, then hey, great piece of business by the front office, and hopefully he's staying warm out there.
After the Strikers play us on Thursday night, they have to fly to Missouri and take on St. Louis at St. Louis on Saturday night. And that St. Louis is 1 game this week. That's where San Diego has 2 to the Ambush is 1. Meanwhile, the next day when we host Baltimore, Tacoma, after having played Kansas City on Friday, they will have to fly Saturday to Milwaukee, and Tacoma plays at the Wave on Sunday, which would be the game that you would expect out of all the games this weekend to be the blowout, because the Stars have performed so poorly on the road, and Milwaukee is playing their 1 game of the week, whereas Tacoma's playing their 2. That should be a convincing win for Milwaukee. So, there's the roadmap for the weekend, and there's no room to stumble for San Diego. That's what I'm saying. If you stumble and you lose this game in Empire, first off, it's great for the Strikers. They very much solidify their position over Tacoma and you can pretty much write them in pen at that point for the 6th spot in the playoffs. But also, you give all of these other teams a chance to gain ground on you when they only play one game and you play 2. And that just can't be. You got to take these 3 and then see how all these other dominoes fall over the course of the weekend. Kansas City could drop a point at Tacoma. On another day, I'd say Empire could absolutely go in and get a win. The last time it was 4-2 Ambush. Ambush have just lost 2 in a row. But if, again, Empire has to find points somewhere if they're going to make it to the playoffs. I don't think the Stars can take any points from the Wave, but maybe Utica at Baltimore? Probably not. I think that's it for Utica. I think the flag's up after Calvin's one night only. And the rest of the way is going to be like hard days for Utica, but brighter days in the future.
It's incredible. I just brought him in just for that. Not even in a Riggy's uniform, man. That should have been at that point.
I know. It's okay. Sorry, Calvin, you're really good at indoor. We know. All right. Any other thoughts on the week that is? I think it's going to be a really fun one. Sunday afternoon, just as a note, it's military night. There will be a military reenlistment ceremony before the match, which will take the place of the Super Soccer's pregame show for 1 week. There's a car flag giveaway. If you like to have those little flippity flappity car flags, you can have a Sockers one, so that when your friend with the Lakers one drives by and you're like, you shouldn't even have a Lakers one, it's San Diego. You can have a Sockers one, and they're like, who's that? And you go, we're the 16-time champions. And it's a whole thing. It's a bit you can do with your friends and your enemies. So pick up the car flag and do the bit. That is the deal with that. And Tony and I will be on MASL TV at 3:00 on Sunday with all the action of the Sockers and the blast. Hopefully it will be a blast for San Diego. But tomorrow night, I'm not putting that in my pocket, baby. Every one of these games has been close. Every one of these games has been tough. Why should tomorrow be any different? It's going to be another hard game.
And trust me, Empire wants to go ahead and take that because they take the series in the season. And honestly, tomorrow might be their championship game if you're really thinking about it.
Oh my gosh, the posts.
Right?
I don't want to see the posts.
No. Sockers, take care of business starting now. You have been. Keep it going.
Keep it rolling. Yeah, now's no time to let up. Now's the time to sprint to the tape. And if you do, you can host everything the entire way. And you've got the path to the Ron Newman Cubs. So huge weekend. Can't wait to talk to you about it next Wednesday, everybody, right here on Soccer's Overtime. Want to say special thanks to Jose Bebe Gonzalez for checking things out for us. Want to say thanks to Eddie Trujillo once again for putting together a wonderful highlight compilation for us to use on YouTube. Thanks to Bobby Cressy, whose song is in the background from his album Cali Native. He's playing live March 20th in El Cajon. Check that out. Go to @BobbyCressy on Instagram to find out a little bit more. And Tony, tell everybody what's going on with SanDiego.Futbol.
Absolutely. Well, it's the place to find all the latest San Diego soccer-related news and breakdowns of games, Chromaniacs, 2 balls and a mic, Soccer's Overtime, and everything in between. Check it out, SanDiego.Futbol. It's my Bebe.
It is indeed. Well, what does that make Chiva? 2 hermano, I guess.
Yeah. It's like two latchkey kids who have a smaller Bebe to take care of. I don't know.
You came home and you're just like, what's this? What a funny sitcom this could be. Check that out. Of course, Tony and I also appear on Chromaniacs, your SDFC independent podcast that covers San Diego FC and MLS. We do post-match shows live on YouTube. We had a huge one on Sunday after another solid win, 2-0, as SDFC is out 2-0 in MLS. They play at Sporting Kansas City on Saturday. We'll have post-match coverage for you there. We'll have a new episode of Chromaniacs as the week continues as well. Padres Hot Tub is heading towards opening day. jump on in. Our next 3 shows are yearly traditions, so they are all planned. We will have the Pessimism Show next week. Always popular Pessimism Show, thinking about the worst case scenario for the Padres this year, followed by the Optimism Show with the best case scenario for the Padres this year, followed by the Predictions Show, which is always the week of the season opener. And the season opener is 23 days away. So check us out on YouTube at Padres Hot Tub. Please subscribe. We have a video record of all of our free shows. All of our main shows are available there. And you can support us at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, or you can become a part of our community. Be a member of our Discord, be part of our live shows, be part of our bonus shows like Banter and so much more. So check that out. It's only $5 a month to get in at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. That's it. For Tony Sanchez, Bebe Gonzalez, I'm Craig Elston saying thanks to you for being here with us on Soccer's Overtime. And until we speak again, go Sockers!